Hey guys, I am making a tutorial today for how to use Blender 3D for 3D printing. Some small thing I can give something back to the community. I'm using Blender for 12 years now and I ran into some things which you guys probably will find helpful for 3D printing. So I want to get started for short. It will be just 5 minutes video, so um, it won't be much, but it's not that tough. So first of all, if you work in Blender, keep in mind that Blender is always working in squares, not with triangles. So I assume that you all know a bit of Blender, and if you hit Tab and you go into the um, editing mode, then you see that these planes are all squares. So first of all, what you have to do if you want to 3D print something is most of the slicer software which is available out there just handles triangles. You hit in the edit mode, you hit space and you go to triangulate faces and hit enter. So what you see now is that your cube is not made of squares but is made of triangles now. So Kura won't have a problem with this anymore. This is tip number one. Tip number two is if you are creating a model in Blender, Blender is naturally using squares, so you should do this just in the end, when you're finished with everything. Tip number three is that when you're making a model in Blender, you have the possibility. So first of all, I have to say Blender is made for animations. It has never been like thought as a 3D modeling software pure just for 3D printing, because it's so much more than just a modeling tool. But what we need for the 3D printing is the modeling, so we have to keep in mind that if you want to export something into... So now, when you're exporting into your slicing software, you have to keep in mind that the slicing software can't handle not closed objects. If you have a hole in your object and you try to print it, then you will get ugly lines inside, like lines are missing, or it won't render it properly, or it will let it open, or shit happens. So you always have to close something. So when you're working in Blender and you, for example, extrude something and extrude something, then it would maybe occur for some people that they would take this line, just put it up down there like this, and would try to print it. And if you would do it like that, then you can see here is this this overlap here, and it can't handle that. It would just make it ugly, and it would not work. I can show it to you. Let's let it like that, triangulate it, save it on test overlap blend, save Blender file, and now we can export it. File, export, STL, overlap STL. So when I start Cura now, and I open now this file. Make it the proper size, and I look at it now. Now in the full mode it's okay. When I look at the Schichten, oh, we are lucky. This one would have worked. But in general, if you have more complex structures, it can be that there are whole lines missing, and like it's not properly rendered. So to avoid that, or if you run into that problem, we don't just pull lines into others. So what we have to do here is we have to delete all lines that could interfere with where we are enclosing the model. So there should not be no lines, no faces, no edges, no nothing inside the model. That keeps all things from bugging. Also, when you upload something into Thingiverse and you forgot to do that, then you will get complaints by people that you forgot. So it's always good to do it. So for that, there is a trick. You can merge vertices in Blender. You click one, then shift-click the second one, right-click, shift-right-click, then press space and tip merge. If you can't remember, but there is a second way with a shortcut. That's click, shift, right-click, shift, right-click, then Alt and M. And then he asks you where you want to merge. At the first, at the last, at center, at cursor, which is this, or at the collapse. Well, I tend to do it, it's easier to do it always at the last, or at first, or at center, because I click now the last one, Alt M, go for last, and it will go exactly where I want it. So it's a very nice thing. Do the same with the second one. Is right click, shift, right click, Alt M, and L for lasts. So this will keep problems away from you. So this is one thing. Then another very neat thing Blender has is there is a tool. You can get it with File, then User Preferences, then you go for 3D, and here should be a 3D printing tool, Mesh 3D Print Toolbox. And this is a good toolbar for 3D printing. It shows you not closed faces, overlays, it shows you broken meshes, it shows you overhang if you want, and it also has a shortcut to the Blender export tool for STLs. So, I misclicked now. Need to get it again. User preferences, toolbox, save user settings, refresh. So here's 3D printing, and for using it you just go into it, then use make manifold. No, make manifold tries to repair. You need to go to check all. Then you get these you get here like this checking tool, which is quite neat. It shows an overhang face, which is on the bottom, which is over 90 degrees, I guess. Overhang 45 degrees. Yeah, it's the bottom, for sure. But it shows you where you have bad edges or zero faces. Yeah, zero faces is actually also a good thing to check if you're making something. If you're extruding, for example, something, and sometimes you extrude from inside out. Let's say it like that. And like these things here, these things you would not do, but you get zero faces, like these are inside out. And if you want to get rid, or you can change the direction of these faces, because they are sometimes not rendered in Cura properly, or also make missing lines in the Cura. So you press space, then you go to normal, and you can go flip normals. Then you just change those sides you have selected. You just flip them around. For the normals, you hit spacebar and you just press normalize active. So it flips all into the same in or out. So now everything's out here. And when I hit space and go on normalize active, oh, you need to mark it, then you flip it the other way around again. It's quite neat. You need to do it sometimes with models you download, so there are no holes, but always check if there are no holes. So that's my third tip. And one bonus tip, which has nothing to do with Blender, is if you get a file and it's corrupt because you have set faces in the other model or the other way around, and it would be a pain in the ass to do it like from hand in Blender. You need to change every vertex on the side and delete everything which is inside. It can take hours. So to avoid that, and if it's not too important part that has to be too accurate, you can download Mesh Mixer. It's online available. I will put the link down into the comments. And it's really neat, because if you use it, you can solidify your objects, but that will be a different video. It's just a tip. If you can't print something, then solidify it and it will work out. So this is more or less it. I just wanted to show you how I used the Blender to make my stuff which I'm printing, and it was a pain in the ass in the beginning because I did not know some things. So I also made stuff myself here, like this Viking ship, and it's good to know that everything has to be normalized and triangulated and stuff like that, so everything works out properly when you upload the file or to your printer or to Thingiverse. So I hope I could help you, and wish you a nice day, and you can help me out with maybe liking my stuff on Thingiverse, or tip me. I will put my PayPal somewhere. I wish you a nice day. Bye bye.